emerged under the banner All Behind Abia. The initiative, according to its coordinator, is to counter what is called disinformation, particularly derogatory. Those are major stories. Details right ahead.
Canal
Good evening once more. Welcome to the 6:15 edition of news in the English language. Daily traffic congestion at the west entrance of Douala has crippled daily activities, with journeys that once took just an hour taking up to 5 hours. Commuters say the gridlock is draining time, money, and energy, leaving both drivers and passengers frustrated. More on the story with our reporter Saleh Sherifa.
A crippling traffic jam at the west entrance of Douala has thrown movement between the economic capital and surrounding towns into disarray. The stretch linking Douala to Mutengene, usually covered in about an hour, is now taking 4 to 5 hours on average, commuters report.
Traffic this morning was horrible, very bad and terrible. So I don't know if government can go into this traffic issue, because it's like, I don't even know how I can even put it, because the journey from Mutengene to Boya to Douala is not up to an hour, but the traffic that was today, it was horrible.
Some transport operators say the fuel and time wasted in traffic have left them with no choice but to raise prices, compounding the hardship for passengers who rely on the route for work and family commitments.
We cannot leave Douala at 1 o'clock, arriving in Boya at 7 p.m. at night. 5 hours just from Douala to Boya, which is 54 kilometers. You cannot imagine. Inside the congestion, vehicles are only idling. For a vehicle to idle for 2 or 3 hours, you know how much it costs. And you cannot embarrass the customers to pay. It's not their cost. It's the transporter that is losing.
The congestion, which has become a daily ordeal, is already having wider economic repercussions, with businesses reporting delays in the movement of goods and workers. Calls are growing for urgent interventions to ease the situation. Commuters say better road management, expansion works, and stricter traffic control are needed to restore fluid movement in and out of the city.
If they have good traffic officers that control the vehicles not to park anyhow, and to easily access to their direction, I think that the traffic will be limited.
For now, the west entrance remains one of the city's biggest choke points, a bottleneck that is testing the patience of residents and slowing the pace of Douala.
And as Cameroon approaches the 2025 presidential election, the role of polling party agents or representative of political parties at polling stations is once again under scrutiny. A task with safeguarding the integrity of the vote, these agents occupy a very delicate position. These agents occupy a delicate position, a cut between their legal duty to ensure transparency and their loyalty to their different political parties. More on the story with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
In principle, their mandate is clear. As members of the local polling commission, this is inscribed in Article 54(1) of the Electoral Code. The role of the polling agents, individual appointed by political parties or candidates, is to observe voting to ensure that procedures are properly followed. As such, they must be present on time to verify voters' lists, monitor ballot handling before and after voting, monitor ballot counting, and report irregularities to election officials. All well spelled out in Article 57 and 62 of the Electoral Code. Their role is mainly supervisory, ensuring transparency, fairness, and that the votes are cast and counted according to the law. They serve as eyes and ears of the parties. guaranteeing that the vote reflects the will of the people. Yet in practice, the line between impartial oversight and partisan allegiance is often blurred. For opposition parties, polling station representatives play an even more crucial role, often operating in environments where trust in the electoral system is fragile. They are expected not only to protect the integrity of the vote, but also to reassure skeptical supporters that their votes will be counted. This notwithstanding, the polling agents on voting day are not allowed to interfere with voters or election officials, cannot campaign or display party symbols inside or near polling stations, and must follow instructions of presiding officers or risk being expelled from a polling station as in Article 59, and such expulsion shall enter the reports of the day. Civil society groups have, however, repeatedly called for more training, stricter guidelines, and stronger protection for these agents, warning that their credibility is essential to build public confidence in the electoral process. As the October 12 vote approach, the performance of polling station agents will once again be a decisive factor, testing whether duty to democracy can outweigh the pull of party loyalty.
And with 2 months to go to Cameroon's presidential election, a new initiative has emerged, call it a grassroots movement that has emerged under the banner All Behind Paul Biya. The initiative, according to his coordinator, Romain Akono, is to counter what he describes as disinformation, particularly derogatory claims targeting the incumbent President Paul Biya. More in the following story.
The new political movement called All Behind Paul Biya is a group openly rallying behind the incumbent president, making no secret of its intention to secure his re-election. According to its national coordinator, the movement's primary mission is to stamp out what it describes as hateful and discriminatory messages aimed at the incumbent leader. It seeks to particularly counter a growing wave of disinformation portraying President Biya as incapable of exercising power. Cameroonians are not fooled. Young people who are aware of what the President of the Republic has done for his country are not fooled. We, as pro-Biya supporters, have decided to take the bull by the horn and say that this stops. Much of this battle, the organizers say, will be on the social media, which they describe as the main breeding ground for attacks and rumors targeting the head of state. By tackling online narratives, the group hopes to blunt the impact of persistent speculation about Biya's health and a leadership capacity. So it's a movement of unwavering support for the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya. It's also a movement of vigilance and awareness raising among young people and women who are more sensitive. Beyond the digital sphere, All Behind Paul Biya plans to stage major rallies across the country in the run-up to the vote, driven largely by young activists and movement, adds to an already crowded field on October 12.
And the center is a littoral northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Good news for others, especially as farmers are anticipating a favorable planting season and promoting a harvest. Forecasts being done and forecast based on analysis rather by a National Observatory on Climate Change that was presented August 18. More in the following story.
Heavy rains are expected to begin between the 17th to the 26th of August in the southern part of the East region, and from the 26th to the 30th of this same August in the center and south regions. For these reasons, therefore,
farmers are advised to plant in the bimodal zone 3 days after the effective beginning the rainy season, a period assumed the soils already received moisture sufficient enough for plants to germinate.
The situation is different in the northwest, west, littoral, and the northeastern part of center, like Ngambetika, Yoko, and northern parts of the eastern region, such as Garwabulai, alongside the southwestern extremes of the south region.
The planting dates in these regions are supposed to be guided by advice from the agri-extension workers on the field, which will be based on the different varieties available and its peculiar water and temperature requirements.
Thus need to go for crops with short cycle.
So that is why we are advising farmers to go in for maize and beans.
Picture of the agricultural calendar for the second cropping season made available by the National Observatory on Climate Change. They also noted that the termination dates will be uniform as compared to the disparities they had in the onset, and all by the month of November. The agricultural calendar helps prevent losses caused by planting too early or too late, which can cause crops to either excessive rainfall or short dry spells. The updated agricultural calendar presented at Barmayo this August 18 is designed to guide farmers towards more efficient and resilient farming practices.
And Cameroon's future depends on an education system that delivers more than the theoretical parts. It must produce skilled, job-ready graduates, yet many parents struggle to just align their children's learning with real-world demands. Let's get more on this in a workshop that was aimed at educating, drilling parents on how they could innovate in terms of education. More info in the story. In Cameroon, a significant gap exists between traditional education and the evolving demands of the job market. Parents often face challenges in aligning their children's education with market needs, sometimes making decisions without fully understanding their children's aspirations.
People are bombarded with so much information about education. Parents need to be able to ask the right questions to find out what exactly an institution is doing to provide innovative education that can help their children easily transition from being students to being either job creators or being employers.
To address this, the concept of parents' innovative education has been introduced as a solution.
Innovative education, how education can move from just classroom work into, making the student to become an entrepreneur, where the student can become a bit more successful, can become business, can get money. I think that is even the approach of higher education in Cameroon, such that universities and higher educations can organize their programs and their curriculum in the way that would go through entrepreneurship.
On August 17, a workshop organized by Fotabe University in Douala brought together scholars, educationists, parents and students to discuss the importance of adapting to new educational trends.
The government has done quite a lot to provide policies that help to guide us towards innovative education, but many people, parents and students, do not understand. They do not have this information. So we are also here to give them this information that there is the possibility of acquiring innovative education today in Cameroon, and we have shared the options that are available.
The event emphasized the need for practical skills-based learning, highlighting how students can acquire hands-on experience before integrating the job market. Demonstrations showcase the practical side of education, where students engage in real-world applications of their studies.
We need innovation in today's education and in today's minds of the youth.
The workshop aimed to rebuild mindsets and reshape future generations by encouraging both parents and students to embrace innovative educational approaches by focusing on employability and aligning education with market needs. The initiative seeks to empower students to strive in a dynamic global economy.
We talk culture. The Menchum community in Douala has organized its first ever jamboree, bringing together hundreds of youths from far and near in order to know more about the culture, sports, music, and cultural performances as part of the events in Douala that happens over the weekend. The event aims to reconnect youths with their roots, promote traditional values, and strengthen a sense of identity among members of the Northwest community. More in the full story with our reporter Saleh Sherifa.
Hundreds of young people from the Menchum division in the northwest region of Cameroon gathered in Douala over the weekend for the community's inaugural jamboree, an event designed to strengthen ties to cultural heritage and traditional values.
Along the cultural jamboree, we have some football matches that were taking place, so everything will be ending this night at the Akum Hall. So Menchum is coming out to unite, celebrate cultural heritage.
The jamboree featured a mix of sporting competitions, cultural dances, and live performances, drawing enthusiastic participation from youths across the city.
To preach out our culture, make sure that Menchum is one of the biggest division in the northwest part of Cameroon.
Elite say the initiative was born out of a desire to remind the younger generation of the rich traditions of their community, many of whom live far from their ancestral homes.
We are here to make people to understand that culture is not just a practice, but it's a way of life, a way to showcase. So I'm calling on all the youth, wherever you are, to make culture your lifestyle.
That is why in our association, MCDA, Men Cultural and Development Association, we start with culture before development.
The events also included storytelling sessions and discussions on the importance of community service and cultural preservation.
Also, this culture is to mobilize our youth to come back to our root cause of our culture, because to avoid the overrun of in Android activities.
The success of the inaugural jamboree has prompted organizers to announce plans for it to become an annual event, hoping it will continue to inspire and educate youths while celebrating the community's cultural wealth.
And thank you so much, Saleh Sherifa, for that report. And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Prime Time Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. Take another rendezvous, same time tomorrow. Good night.
Un choix, plusieurs styles, tous piques, tous uniques.